Okay, we're gonna start up.
Okay.
See if we can get done, get out of here. So Greta, you're up first.
Great.
Right here, code.
Yep, all known associates.
Oh, here, I just switch all over. We're good. Yeah, let me switch. Do you wanna have a seat over here? Nobody's in here.
Who wants to come up?
Yeah, come to the table.
Oh, just it is.
Yes. Did that sign come? Did you put that sign up?
How are you?
Good, how are you, Greta?
Oh, yeah, I've got both. Someone called me the only day after, 2 days after it was.
Yeah.
So Saturday night was. So I took a picture, took him over.
Why?
That's, you know what Saturday night, fuel D.
Okay, we're gonna start up, Mo.
Somebody hit
We're
it?
starting up. Let's get it
Go
going.
straight back up.
All right, hi. So, here tonight to just provide an update on where things are with the Common School Working Group's efforts over the last year. Because I guess it's been a little over a year since really we gave you more of an official update since we were here back in February. Time flies. So I prepared a memo or memorandum, 1 page, just sort of summarizing where we were a year ago, when we were here in February, what's happened since then, and some of the priorities that the group has set in 2025. So I didn't give that to you, Kathy, until this morning, so you may not have had a
I
chance to
emailed
review
them
it.
to you.
Yeah, I read it.
Would you like a copy?
I'd like a copy. I scanned it.
Okay. But essentially that is
Do
the
you want a copy?
update
Yeah.
that we have tonight, and then, certainly anything that Julie or Jean
Do you
or
want-
Bill wanna add,
Thank you.
they can. So the recommendation a year ago, or a little over a year ago, was to seek grant funding to update the architectural schematics for the common school that would sort of build upon those Gallup plans that were done in around the 2020-ish with some funding from Preservation Trust of Vermont. That would make it ADA accessible, energy, build on that. So using your energy audit, make it an energy efficient building, and support some of the uses that were identified by the group. So what the group then focused on in response to that conversation and support, there was a town meeting presentation that was supported, but the group then focused on the Village Trust Initiative application, which was primarily, the Village Trust Initiative is intending to support the creation or expansion of existing nonprofits for the restoration of community facilities and buildings. And so the concept around the application was the Fairfield Community Center would apply. Their mission is general enough that, support, adding the common school under the Fairfield Community Center's mission seemed appropriate for the types of uses that were being considered: community space, after school program, all things that the existing Fairfield Community Center already does. And so the idea was that through the Village Trust Initiative, if you're accepted, technical assistance and support would have been provided to the community center nonprofit, in addition to funding resources to meet the goal of whatever that project was, in this case restoration and reuse of the common school. So unfortunately, as everyone knows, we weren't accepted to that program, that we knew that they were gonna have a second round of applications. It was really competitive. We've been in touch with the funders. Actually, just last week, they reached out to me to ask if the common school was interested in applying again. And she let me know that the application process was changed a little bit, and some of which was in response to the feedback that we had given them.
Greta, that was the first round ever, right?
Ever, yeah.
It's
It's a brand new program, so they definitely are. I think we're going through some evaluations and sort of moving it forward. Yeah.
Okay.
One of the challenges with the Village Trust Initiative that was not solved at the time of application was sort of control of the building. So right now it's a town-owned structure, and there has been some conversation around making sure that it stays a town-owned structure and property. But in order for grants to be made to a nonprofit, the nonprofit would have to have control of the structure somehow legally. And so I think that sometimes, I'm not an attorney obviously, but there could be perhaps a lease agreement or something similar that might make that possible. So that's something that still needs to be explored. Yeah. But beyond that, I think we kind of entered it or approached that project as a partnership between the community center and the town, which I think a lot of projects are really successful when they have, that partnership between municipal, nonprofit, and private interests. So one of the next steps would be to consider whether or not that is a program that the town should apply, work with the community center to apply for again. So I guess I'm working into sort of what's been happening more recently in 2025. The groups met twice, and some of the first thing that we kind of got off quickly was an application to the municipal planning grant program for the work that, updating the schematic designs. I did add a line item for some additional wastewater feasibility, understanding that if there is a new use there with new bathrooms, I felt like my understanding was that analysis would go far enough, and that a new permit would be needed that would trigger likely upgrades to a system. And so some additional exploration as to the feasibility for that is necessary. And so the application would also included a line item for that. We'll hear about that funding pretty soon. It is competitive. There's a chance you might not get it. There's some other, it was initially a very light year, and I was like, come on, let's get it in. Very good chance, but there are some other really competitive projects that are also in the
Can I see that for me?
lineup for municipal planning grants this year. So it's always, but this is a great project. You've got your village center designation that adds some priority points. So fingers crossed. So the other what's next would be what we just touched on, the Village Trust Initiative. Should that be something the town works with the community center on applying to again? Third, and this is a big one because we can get grant money, can we spend effort on updating the architectural designs and coming up with a plan that everyone loves, but how does it actually get built? Because the cost of actually doing the restoration is going to be very expensive, and so I think that local capital campaigning is going to be needed for this. Certainly there may be some federal grants or state grants that are a possibility, but I think that local capital campaigning, support from the municipality, continued support from to the funds that's set aside for the common school. Also, so we need to bring all the sources to the table, I think, to make this project successful. So one of the, in terms, on the side of capital campaigning, that's something that I think the working group could start trying to build capacity for and find, to see if they can bring more people to the table that have experience and energy and time for, doing that type of work. So I've started, I chatted with Vermont Council, Keziah from the Vermont Council on Rural Development a little bit about that, and starting to sort of look at some resources and information that, can set the working group off in the right direction for, recruiting membership and start, learning more about what it takes just to do that effort. And then finally, the last thing is just, kind of a one-page sort of project statement that could be used for a variety of, just communication tool and marketing tool for the project. So there's like, what is this? And we can have that one thing that can be referenced. And I think that while the reuse is not like this one defined use, the fact that after-school programming has been identified as like this one critical use, but I think that there's so much restoration work that can be done, and there's been a lot of discussion about a variety of other community spaces. I think it's okay to keep it somewhat flexible. And so you can say, let's design this building so that it can be used to serve after-school programming in this location and for other community uses as identified. So there's a lot of examples we could provide but I think that moving forward and fitting or doing the restoration will then certainly lead to further refinement of those spaces and fit up as needed. That's my update.
I think all that I would add is that, you might think that having an after-school program in that space would be a conflict for the community center. But we're actually in the process of getting the school licensed to host the community center's after-school program. Because there are a number of kids that, can't make the transportation to the center and back. And we're hopeful that should kick off within the next week or two, that there'll be good attendance there. And it's kind of that, the concept is that program would, in a few years, if the common school gets restored, would be the location, and not using classrooms or music and art spaces. And, so I think it would be a good fit for the program.
Aren't they eliminating their art space?
Are they? I'm not.
That's something that's on the ice. I don't know the status of that decision. I did see that was something that was being considered.
Because they're going
by the
to art in a cart, period.
Oh, again?
Yeah, that's what Christina said.
I don't know that it's a final decision yet, but it was on the table.
Thought that was part of that new addition.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they are repurposing the room that is used currently for art. And they're looking at going to art on a cart instead.
So, yeah, I think that after-school program has a lot of growth potential in this location because of the ability to coordinate with the library and athletics, and I think there will be a lot more demand for it in this location than having it be in a separate location in East Fairfield. So I think that also coordinate. I think the library trustees would really love for there to be an after-school program right there as well.
Yeah, there is
I
one in the
know
library. Every time
Sarah.
I go in, there's about 20 kids in there.
Yeah.
Not to say that kids
Right, shouldn't be in
go to the
there, but
library,
it's-
but
Yeah,
But they are unsupervised.
it's kind of a holding pattern. I could see that a few times.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you have any questions or concerns about?
Well, I think it's great that you've stepped up as a committee. I think it's a heavy lift. The fund, like the knowing buildings and knowing the state of that building. But I'm gratified that you guys have, Ron's been with you and it's a heavy lift.
It is.
And
We know
and,
that.
yeah. Capital campaign, that's a couple $1 million, maybe, I don't know, but at least,
the total cost of restoration, I imagine, will be a couple $1 million.
Yeah. so.
Is that pre-tariff or pro-tariff?
To be determined.
Yeah.
Depends on the
But,
day.
I mean, hopefully there'll be some grant funding that will supplement that.
Reinforcing though the vision of capital campaign, the library in St. Albans, and I was on that capital campaign committee, was that kind of lift. If you corrected it for $1993, it was more than $3 million if you corrected it for today. And you only have to get about 30% of the way there before all of a sudden everybody gets their wallet out. So it isn't unrealistic to think about, but I do not diminish your comment about it being a heavy lift. You've got to get a significant momentum going before the water follows the path. To the topic of the licensing, having been on the, not been on the board, having been the chairman of the board of the community center at the time when the licensing turned into the biggest problem because it wasn't actually in place, very much important feature for you to consider is if the school is the licensee for the after-school program, the success of the program is guaranteed because the challenge is to have the license be valid and up to date and maintained. And if the school is willing to take that responsibility, that program will be successful.
It doesn't have anything to do with the school. We're just using the space. So the community center will hold that license and also have a license for the community center.
The license will be in place and successful because of the proximity and the relationships. In the past, it was an unsupervised obligation, and I'll take responsibility for being among those who was not sufficiently informed about whether or not it was being maintained correctly. So I endorse the idea that having the relationship between the community center and the school and the after-school programs in the village as opposed to in East Fairfield, that will be a tremendous asset or benefit to both the community center and to the community in general and the students. And it will be much easier for the community center to manage that relationship with the state for the licensure. Because they'll have sort of on-site advisory role that is passive parent, but it'll be a passive parent, that's a positive thing.
Yeah, maybe also responding, not speaking for the board, but just one individual, my reaction to, it seems a little bit like a catch-22. So the town owns the common school, but in order, you kind of identify that in order to qualify for some of these grants, there has to be control or.
Just one, the village trust initiative.
No, not a municipality.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't see why that's a big deal. We leased it to the school for years.
yeah, that's what I was getting at. I think we could figure out, we got an attorney, we could figure out some way to make sure the town's interests are protected, but also, give the
Well,
whatever.
it must work because it's a lease on the community center in East Fairfield also.
The same thing.
Yeah,
Same thing,
Okay,
yeah.
good point.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that's been, what, 20 years, 27 years?
I think it'll be
More
helpful.
than
One thing that we
30.
didn't have at the time of the Village Trust Initiative was enough of a conversation with this board to be able to say in the application that we had a path forward towards site control. So I think being able to ramp or make that section of the application more robust will, hopefully help its competitiveness. I'm not sure that that was the reason why it wasn't competitive, but I just know that that was one area that we hadn't had those discussions between the community center and the town at the time that the application was due.
So having it in the minutes of this meeting that it was discussed a little bit, and there was interest in people.
And that's, there's a little bit of time. I mean, it'll go fast, but
I know, seems like they just.
announced by the beginning of July, they said.
Would that lease include the ball fields?
I don't know. It doesn't need to.
No,
Yeah, I think it would
The
probably
ball
just need to
fields
be-
are a separate thing from the building.
No.
but you need.
What do you need from us? Other than, we got a grant writer at the table, so. if you
Yeah,
could-
Kathy
worked-
was great.
we
Kathy
worked
did a
on-
lot of work on the
It's
MPG.
good.
To the topic of the ball fields or the racetrack, if we want to go back one historical step. Bridget brought up an idea that I was very happy to hear expressed because it's real. It's a real idea. And that is if the common school was part of a community housing development and the ball fields moved to another location, Now you're at a scale where you can really get something done. There's room over there for 20 or 30 units.
Where are you gonna move them, Bill?
Well, I don't want to put at risk misquoting, but I would say I'm less well informed than Bridget. I didn't make the comment. I was happy to
Right.
hear the comment.
It's a town common, so it's, I mean, you can still go pasture your cattle over there if you truly wanted to.
That's right, you gotta-
And you couldn't be stopped.
I was kind of hoping you'd build something I could live in when I get to that point.
We'll get a mobile home for you. Started out in one, 10 by 55, pole included. That's what they used to sell.
I'd probably be quite comfortable in 10 by 50.
Well, I laughed when we were watching some TV show. Since I couldn't live in a house that small, I said, you lived in a 500 square foot thing before. What do you mean? I said, that mobile home we started off with. It's 500 square feet inside.
I want to make sure that I am not responsible for misquoting Bridget.
That was an idea that was presented, yeah. I think that it was, it was an effort to put everything on the table. There's certainly, it's interesting to think outside the box on like what could be possible there. It does seem, I think there would be obviously an immense amount of coordination and MRUSD on where to put the fields. And so none of that has happened, and I don't know where there's space to do that, and the athletic fields are critical to the school. So, but it was interesting to have.
Biggest problem will be there will be septic, I think.
Well, that would obviously be a benefit because it would trigger that and it would create the momentum and for consideration of a grander scale septic plan, which of course ultimately will be necessary anyway.
Yeah.
So regarding next steps, if you
Yeah.
give me a green light to move ahead on some type of coordinated lease that meets the needs, or some kind of language or verbiage that meets the needs of this application, just put me on first, and then I'll let you guys know that it's been requested, and we'll get some.
Okay, sounds good. Other than that, I would say in terms of like what the working group could use from the select board would just be, I think, continued support. It is a massive project. I think that for capital campaign, there's a need to bring more people to the table. So I think having the select board support as that's happening is going to be critical.
Yeah, ignorance, I have no idea what Bill just mentioned about, but I would say, when you look at the demographics of Fairfield, Franklin County, state of Vermont, is our student population is shrinking and our senior population is increasing. So, part of your study committee is to be provocative, I don't know anything about racetracks and, but I do know, Dick Horgan has a nice, I think mixed use is mixed use, right? So,
Maybe if there's less kids in the school, we can put more seniors in the school.
I just think,
See, gotta think outside the box.
mixed use,
Yeah, there's also options for revenue generation, once somebody, if somebody moves in there.
Sure.
Second floor.
yeah, a lot of people in Fairfield want to live in Fairfield, as they age, so.
Architecturally, that building, because of its height, lends itself to using an elevator shaft that's part of a different project.
That's part of the schematics that were originally designed.
Yeah, it's got good bones. The foundation, it's built. The movement, and it's got a lot of good bones to it. Well, keep in touch.
Yeah, so I guess that's it. I have a question. I was wondering whether, I guess I didn't research the town report this year, but were the electricity costs any cheaper this winter?
It wasn't electricity, it's all about fuel.
Is the heat went
heating
up
fuel.
again?
Oh, sorry. I didn't
Electricity
mean to say
across the
electricity,
board is
just the
going
heat.
up again. I'm not sure exactly where we're gonna be with electricity, but I did
I meant to
notice that
say
we're
heat,
higher.
sorry.
And heat is still high. It's getting higher again.
Right, okay. So there wasn't the ability to sort of address the heating
No.
costs by, I don't know,
So
monitoring
it's-
zones
The first
or-
quarter this year is about it's thousands of dollars more than the first quarter of last year. So it's, you know,
Yeah.
it's an issue.
Okay,
Well,
Thank you for-
you'll hear about the municipal planning grant, and we'll be in touch about the village trust initiative.
Good feeling about that grant.
I do too.
Well, it's all about that idea to have more people aware of what's going on with the way school. That there's a committee trying to make some ideas and welcome more ideas and
more
involvement.
participation, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think getting the flyer out to post and mail or whatever would be a good way to.
It'll be good to have a jazzed group of positive energy in Fairfield doing,
Yeah, exactly.
you know, a shared commitment or a rallied approach to something. You know, whatever it is, but I think it's great.
All right.
That planning forum postcard wasn't that expensive.
No.
It was a couple $100.
Yeah.
So if you
Something-
want to do like a mailer,
Yeah,
it wasn't outrageous.
yeah, I think that's,
The MPG does include additional community involvement and outreach. It's something that in order to make a competitive application, you need it included, but it's a great effort as well. So as part of that grant, if it's funded, there will certainly be opportunity to do a mailer and
And Emily made a new list, so,
great.
oh,
Yeah.
nice.
and I cleaned as much of it as I could from the Fairfield part of it. I'm sure Enos
Nice.
Bergen East Fairfield could use some work too, but I can't do those.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, that was actually, you supplied the addresses and the company printed them and mailed them for you, so.
Yeah, and it was only a couple $100. It wasn't,
Right.
it really wasn't like 400 or something. Like
And they
it
got there
wasn't,
in the nick of time.
not really,
No.
but whatever.
You just make sure.
I was just referencing that it's not outrageous.
Right, no, good point, thanks.
thank you.
That's it,
thank you
thanks.
for keeping us informed and keep working at it. Appreciate it.
Thanks for.
Thanks.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Mo, what do you got?
The price on our chloride for this year, it's $1.20 a gallon. Last year it was $1.18.
That's
It's
not that bad.
No, but it's gone up a lot in the last few years, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It was 80-something cents there.
I received a compliment for Mo and his team from for Bridget, the Friends of the
Yeah.
Library, where they fixed
Oh, you get
the flagpole's up. They're very happy. Bridget's happy. Library's happy.
Yeah, James,
Great job.
James and Jimmy did it. Did it.
Well, compliments to them.
Yeah, I'll make sure they hear that. So, it's all state now, chloride is.
Oh, it's no.
Gorm bought it.
Oh, okay.
They still call it Gorm, but it's,
Yeah. They kind of the only game in town.
yeah. Yep.
Should I turn this off now? 7:30, nobody?
I'll give him a call. I'll get all the guys all set with it.
I don't think we have any options. Are they the only ones around that deliver like that? Isn't it?
Yeah. That's why price down 2 cents, I'm kind of surprised. But-
Yeah, you'd think they'd put it up more since
Yeah,
they're the only
yeah.
game in town.
But we've been buying from Gorham, forever,
Yeah.
ever I remember, and in this Rick Lawrence, he's been started out delivering, driving now, he's, like anything moved up, and he always does the best. He gets here, our truck could be in here Sunday, get a load here, we're gonna have Monday, you know, all that adds up too.
Yeah.
Very dedicated. He's a young fella, he's only 70, so.
Not just a boy. Hopefully get some experience under.
Yeah. A long time. The Freightliner went into Viking last Tuesday.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah, I was, Cindy Lappo called me on it last by then, and I was doing something in the ground, phone rang, was Kyle down to Viking. Oh, we got your truck in here, we wanna you wanna come and make sure we got what we supposed to be? Well, James went down Friday again.
Who's gonna be driving that?
James was.
Well, hopefully that one holds up as well. Those Freightliners have really,
That's far away.
they've been a good transition from, you know,
2020 went in last week. CMI computer, I guess. You'd be driving along and you lost the feed to keep on going. The computer screwed up and I had to go there because they had to diagnose that.
yeah.
So that came back. I came back Friday. No,
That's still under
came back
warranty.
fixed and under warranty.
Yeah.
That's all I'll tell you.
Tell you what, you can't afford not to buy
That
the
would've
extended warranties.
That probably been the close to with computer on, 6,000-7,000 easy.
Yeah.
And that could be on low side.
Yeah.
Way I haven't been lately. I've been on low side lots of times.
You gotta get out and spend more of your money so you know the prices have been.
Yeah.
In your spare time.
Gavin, gotta have it, spend it, you know.
That's why I drive that 05 Ranger.
Yeah, I got a 08 Ford.
Oh, don't brag.
Low lower. The blacktop on the Cheshire Arthur Road, got 1.5 miles to the end. Have to start.
Now, when you say to the end, that would take us up past the monument?
Yeah, check, right back to blacktop end down to the monument.
Yeah. It's 1.5 miles.
Yeah.
And usually our budget will carry a mile or so?
Yeah.
Or so?
Yeah, it's hard on the soul.
Yeah.
Last year was anyways.
Geez, it seems to me like we did that pretty recent.
We went up towards a cemetery. God, how long ago we do that one? And that saved you a lot of bull, didn't it? Because I was
Yeah.
always breaking up.
Yeah,
all
we dug
the
it
time.
right out through there.
Yeah.
Yeah, from the, on Duffy Hill.
Because I
Yeah.
think we need, I mean, if we do blacktop, we need to do that again.
Yeah.
Because that used to, the buses were sinking out of sight and everything else.
Right.
Yeah.
I think
That's probably
less than
1/10 of a mile, maybe,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, maybe a little less than 10.
Yeah. Price. No, I mean, as we speak, the price of petroleum products have gone down. Not around here, of
I was
course,
gonna say.
but that the price of
A barrel. is
barrels
down.
dropped to 62.
I saw gas in Tennessee 2 days ago at 260.
JD was paying it in North Carolina 250 something last winter when he was down there for.
It's around here, it's, see it going to 220 or something.
Yeah, so. But I suppose part of it, if they're pulling it out of Montreal versus pulling it out of Albany, makes a difference on it too.
Yeah, they say.
That's what they say, but I think it's really that they like to, yes, that is my feeling.
So you think the Chester Arthur 1.5 miles is what we'll be doing for paving this year?
Well, let's see how much, we got 155 in our budget, and did we have any carryover from last year, or did we use that up?
Well, we were under in that area and we carried over we used that carryover to offset other costs in the expenses budget.
Would you have to do, you wouldn't have to do many culverts up through there, would you? Did you do quite a few?
No, we got, let me see. Yep, one, two, three, four.
At least that big one by Gary Corrs, you don't have to fool with it.
No.
Not that big bugger.
No, we got a 3-footer there,
Yeah.
right after, Parody there, Parody Eagle Farm, that side here,
Yeah.
up in there. We got that.
Are the town roads still posted, Mo?
It's partial, depends.
It depends
They
on the
call,
road.
if they call that road is up to par, we'll run,
Case by case at this point, right?
yeah.
Oh, you're talking blacktop.
Yeah.
Sweet Hollow Road is pretty crappy.
Is it?
Yeah, but I don't want it fixed.
Okay.
Because they just
Built
drive
to
faster, the nicer the pavement is, the
Yeah.
faster they drive. They already drive 55, 60 miles an hour on that road.
We reached out to, after our last meeting, I reached out to the Secretary of Transportation, Joe Flynn, and I invited him to come take a look at Bridge 51.
Yeah.
And he was he said, I gotta check with my team, but I said for June, figured that things would kind of be stable. And he was reminiscent of the last time we attended a Fairfield meeting on a bridge issue. So Bridget's his cousin, so he was very positive.
Well, it'd be
That's
nice.
good, yeah.
Did you see that the
That bridge
transportation
is the
bill,
main one. Main artery, yeah.
they cut the, let's see, the annual transportation bill passed the House with the governor's recommended funding of 7.2 million for structures, down 10.2% in FY '25, and 8.6 million for class 2 roads, down 2.9%. It's it's disappointing because you know you're all doing everything you can to get the word out.
Anything else, Paul?
Yeah. So, back to blacktop, do you want them bid on that, give a bid what it costs for that, or the money that we got, the 150? Didn't go far as the 150.
150 goes roughly a mile, right?
Yeah,
A little over a
roughly.
mile. So you're talking.
Does it still this year?
I wouldn't. You
I wouldn't
can't-
think it would go up much, because if you're, I mean, that price is gonna, the crude price is gonna be down for a bit. And it's all based on what the price does when they do the project. You know, price goes up high, then you got that
Yeah. it's
calculating
sitting there.
factor, whatever the heck they call it.
You're gonna have 1 year with that.
I would personally, I'd have them give us a quote on the whole thing,
Okay.
and then we can back off on a mile and make sure that, get a price say for a mile of it.
Yeah, but I'll give them, tell them both.
Yeah, and then add them, but make sure you add on that little segment up towards North Fairfield Cemetery.
Okay.
And that's my recommendation, simply because you can't believe the mess that used to be into that four corners before the boys got it drained out and got it blacktopped. That was a mess.
They're right there anyway.
Well, but am I hearing you get a quote for 155 and the whole thing?
Yeah,
Like 2 quotes?
yeah, so that we would know, they might say to us, well, if we did them both extra, I'm just throwing this.
Yeah, no, I
But, you know, they may say it's gonna cost you
two quotes.
Yeah,
155.
170, 175.
That's what our budget is, but if you do the whole shebang, sure.
because a lot of times if they're
So-
there, they'll do a little better for you if they can. If they're right there, the machines are there, they're not reloading them, they're not moving them, you know.
So I can get the bid document from last year for that if you'd like. So we can do that for the 3. It's usually 3 or 4 places.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Wickham,
Who did it last year? Somebody different did it.
Wickham.
Wickham
Wick.
did it.
Yeah.
They came in with the lowest price, right?
Yep.
Per
Yeah,
ton.
there were much between them and Pike, but
Yeah.
they did.
Yeah, there was a third party too, I forget that.
Hutchins
Hutchins.
Yeah.
did it, but they're
They were really
$8
high.
They were really
$8
high.
ton more or something.
They were
They were different way off.
Yeah.
So a quote for 155. How many miles can be done? Is what you're saying? Sort of
Well-
backwards, different than what we've done before.
Well, then we'll have them measure the whole thing, give a quote for that, and just
Do the whole project.
do this, yeah. Just so we know what it's gonna cost us. I mean, it might be wiser to invest a little extra now and have that Chester Arthur Road done, completed. Then you start on these other roads you've got to.
Which we all can see.
Because they used to jump all around. I mean, they do a short segment here, run down there, of course, now they charge every time they move that paver or anything to move, you get charged $5 or $10 grand
Yeah.
to move it around. So, we've had pretty good luck by doing roads and do the whole road.
Yeah.
It seems like.
Just, that's one problem, we just got get behind on the,
Mm-hmm.
what we should be, so much money here. It kind of looks that way, because you look, to keep up with the roads we got.
Yeah, I mean, theoretically, it probably should be budgeted at 200,000.
Another year.
So, okay.
Yep, finish what you,
Are you-
okay. No, I ain't done, but.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Okay.
Last time we got the grader, I don't know. These are the quotes, I did not get nothing from, Beauregard. I called a cat after last meeting and talked, oh yeah. And I talked to him today, he called me, I called him again a couple days ago. He called me today, maybe Thursday, but next week. I said, I told my select board meeting tonight, and I got a quote, you know, I told him John Deere, and so.
I remember the last time they were that kind of
I don't
attitude.
get that busy that, you know, you take 2-3 weeks ago, you know, time to train the grader and want to quote, and then think there's somebody that's not gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
You can't give no number until we look at your grader, so I was sitting here, I said, I can get it here anytime you want, but I said, you gotta get here. So here's the quotes with the trade, this is on the 672.
And this is John Deere.
Yeah. 67,
Is this the one we had last time, but?
yeah, the 672 is what we got right now.
Yeah.
String grader. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the same quote with the last.
Yeah, and then this is a 772.
This would be a bigger model.
Yeah. The one, if you've been up Enosburg, I went Enosburg.
Well, that's what Joey Clark and those guys go with.
Yeah. And I think Fairfield got different towns got them around here. It just shows the difference between the 672 price and. And that's, when we got the scat fires and a wing on it, and they're gonna take the wing and the scat fire and put it on the new grader.
On both of these quotes?
Yeah.
How much is that one, Ron?
The total is 290, 500. That's with the trade in, you know what I'm saying?
So just a little heavier grader, bigger engine?
Yeah. Something about the hydraulic supposed to be stronger or something, but
Is it needed?
I don't see, but the grader we got,
You've had good luck.
power,
Yeah.
got the weight.
Remember, I know one time Enosburg, was it that one or the previous grader? They bought a mower to go on the side of the grader, but it was such a job to take it off and put it on. It didn't get used a lot because it was a bugger to get it off and on. So they'd have to take the whole thing off of the wing, put this on, and
They still got it, grader.
they still got it.
Yeah, they got a, what do you call it, the mower on it now.
So
Yeah.
they kept that one plus bought a new one?
Yeah.
Ooh. A lot of money in Enosburg must be.
Well, I think the trade-in was,
They weren't offering them enough
Yeah.
for trade-in.
yeah.
I can see it because last time when we traded, we had that old cat. And for what they're giving, I thought we ought to keep that.
Ronald, his dad,
Yeah,
wish I kept it.
we should have kept it. And for what we got for trading, we should have kept it just to level off gravel when they were doing roads and have the other grader out on the
Yeah,
roads.
that's why we had that old Ellis and that cat he had.
Yeah,
So we had it, they were great, got two graders.
yeah. Trouble now, they're like everything else between the, you do have to use depth in that grader.
Yep.
So we already. Talking to this guy, recently they got a big 400 horse tractor. Just that depth alone last year cost them $12,000.
Mm-hmm.
Just for the depth. I can't imagine what the fuel cost. That was just that depth stuff. Yeah. Well, we'll see if the guy comes up with the other one. I mean, we aren't making a decision tonight anyway, so. Just so we get a couple things to compare.
I'll bring the equipment fund balance to the next meeting.
Yeah, that's not a bad
Decide
idea.
what,
We'll let this Tim know that we're
If his busy schedule would allow it.
different. Yeah, well, Tim is the one with John Deere.
The John Deere. Oh, that's Nortrax.
We'll know that we're, got some other quotes out there we're dealing with, and he keeps on calling James.
Well, there's a commission in there somewhere, I'm sure.
Yeah.
What's the suggested list price on the other one? This
On the,
I was looking at.
The bigger one,
No, the smaller one.
600 and something. It's 83.
Where the hell is it go?
Under the, I think it's the one that's got the clip on it.
72. Yeah. The list price?
Yeah.
628.
How can they go down by 200,000?
That's 628 and the selling price is 370.
No, that makes that.
I don't, because when you, in the cat, they got a municipality salesman, that's what they said, so I don't know, then your municipality discount kicks in here.
No,
I think that, yeah.
that's
That's
big
why
difference.
I scared last time, because Tom said, what's the list price on it? I said, 628.
Yeah. I see
You're
that
used to
now,
those
yeah.
big numbers, Mo.
Huh?
You're used to those big numbers.
I can tell you. Playing close to 300,000 for a plow truck now.
Yeah.
That's scary.
I know.
Wow.
Yes.
And a 2-year wait.
You don't think the extra power is needed, but is that 6-wheel drive too? That
Both, they're both saying they're just different.
How old is this one now? 7 years, 6 years?
I think he said 12.
12? Oh, it could be.
I'd say
But I'm just
12
thinking
years
that-
anyways, but
Yeah.
it was, had 250 hours on it.
Yeah.
Demo way around.
yeah.
A demo or lease deal, wasn't it?
I could have
I
been,
think it was a lease on
How many
project.
they got now?
7,150.
The old one had about 13 or 15 on it.
Yeah.
Didn't it?
And Jimmy said,
Almost couldn't buy a computer that had to get out and shift it by hand. Didn't that happen in the end with it?
yeah, they had to, that's one reason they very
Yeah,
careful.
yeah. Okay, you got anything more, Mo?
No, that's
We're
all.
moving along.
So, I just wanted, while you're here, the estimate on the North Road culvert came in from Tyler Billingsley. The other engineers passed it up, so it's $22,000 plus $125 per hour, if assistance is needed around right-of-way or easements. And, remember, this is the grant-funded, project that we would be doing on North Road, just for the engineering. And I would just need a motion for me to be able to sign the authorization to proceed with that project. As proposed.
I'll make that motion. That's just for the engineering.
It's just the engineering, yeah.
Is there's no real money involved, it's all grant money?
Well, I mean, you have a match, we have a 20% match.
20%.
Yeah, it's, I think, a $20,000 grant, and it's, so that would be 22,000 is.
Yeah, I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Obviously, no one opposed.
We submitted a class 2 road grant for, to District 8 for the hydraulic study of the, Chester Arthur Bridge. And we'll just have to wait and see what happens there. So if we do the hydraulic study, that would mean, Tyler Billingsley gave me some information on that a little bit. That would have to be adjusted just to make sure that it's aligned with any, engineering plan later. So it would give us the words and the concept and the initiative route that we would need in order to apply for something else if you decide to apply for something else. The state estimated, or the state actually just invoiced us for the Parity Bridge. The cost of engineering the Parity Bridge was about $354,000. And our part of that is 17 or something. But Tyler said that the engineering of the Chester Arthur Bridge would be very similar to the Parity Bridge. So it would cost probably similar to that. So you would want to think about for maybe next year or in the future if you want to go into sort of a staggered process. And the class 2 grant is up to $200,000, so it wouldn't cover an entire engineering process for that bridge, but, you know, it would be something to consider.
The Parity Bridge is 100% funded by the state.
It is, but we have a 5% match for the engineering, the preliminary engineering.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought
That
that
was
was
part
100% too. So,
No, it was part of the original conversation.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's the only part of it that we pay for though.
I was talking to one of our farmers and I described that Chester Arthur Parity Bridge kind of thing. And he gave me feedback. He said, no, I kind of like the fact that if we're going to fix Parity Bridge first. And I was like, oh, that's new information. And because he was talking about detours and feed trucks and all. And I said, oh, I'm glad to hear that's the first input I've heard on that, but I'll just share that. A respected farmer, as you all know.
So, so that grant is in, but in terms of the Chester A. Arthur Bridge, that's $17,259.35. The engineering information and all of the letters and the agreements are in this packet. I was wondering if the select board wants me to transfer money from the capital fund CD. So currently the capital fund has $249,000 in it to cover that $17,000 expense to the town.
When does that due?
It's due now. This is part of the agreement from however long ago.
Sounds good.
How much is it, Kathy? 17.
$17,259.35.
And that's the match for the
That's the
engineering.
Would you like me to make that?
Thank you.
Sounds good.
So I'm gonna make a motion to approve it?
Yeah, we should have a motion.
Okay, I make a motion that we transfer 17 out of our CD to cover the Parity Bridge engineer. It's the Parity Bridge engineering match
Yeah.
with the state of Vermont.
I'll second.
Second that?
Yeah.
Everyone in favor?
Aye.
Good.
We have a letter of intent to participate in next year's municipal roads program that's due, and this is the hydraulically connected segments piece. They've approved $32,500 for next year, and I would ask permission to sign the letter of interest to participate in that.
And what does that one basically do?
It's that one that Mo was using to fix the ditches
Is
and
that
the
what
stone
we fixed on
line.
Duffy Hill with
Yeah.
last year?
Yeah, stone line ditches, and we did part of Jouer Road.
Yeah.
I can't remember
So
all.
someone make a motion, you need a motion for that also?
Just permission to
I'd
be
say let's
that
do it and get
person.
it done.
Okay, and then and Mo and I, we're gonna have to. Can you swing by sometime this week so that we can talk about grants and this? We need to put together the pre-scoping of segments to improve for this summer to the state before we can do any of the projects. So this summer will be $25,250 toward that project, whatever is identified. And we're still waiting to hear back from the Better Roads request that was put in December for Mackenzie Road. That was for $60,000. And we should hear back I believe this month on that one. And I think that's it for roads.
Okay. You got anything else, Mo? Otherwise go home.
No,
You tag teaming?
I got a couple things, if you're ready for me to.
Sure.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to thank the road crew for all their help moving and removing and putting back
Oh.
and lifting and everything they did.
Mo
to-
did complain he was a little tired.
Well, he's a lot tired. The big cabinet still needs to put back in place because we need about 17 men for that. But
How many took it apart?
it don't matter. It takes more to put it back together. It worked good. I thought Morris
You
was
really
gonna
get tired
strain
of them.
something. I'm not sure that he's back to par yet after that.
Take 4 people.
4 or 5.
Yeah.
There was 3 and it
Yeah.
Who took it all?
it wasn't easy. The other piece is green up. So it's been mentioned that other towns have people bring the bags once they collect them to the town garage, that they're not picked up. There's other towns that bring them along the state road. People like to start getting the green up bags early, and then they wonder when the road crew's gonna come pick them up. Green up day isn't to May 3rd. I haven't let any bags go yet because, you know, wanting to know if, I don't know that we should let them out any more than a week or so early.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they're getting picked up too early and, I mean, the bags and set out, but what are your feelings on saying, you know, if you're gonna pick it up, can you kindly bring it to the garage?
What works for you guys?
Well, you figured it.
At the garage.
You got a ton truck going around every road here.
Yeah.
And we're thinking.
Yeah, but you don't wanna discourge people from picking the garbage up. either.
No, but like you say, it's a hard corridor. I don't, cause both couches, your tires, do we get 10 little tires? You know?
Was it Bakersfield one year? They started a little pile somewhere. Next thing you know, they had 700 tires.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous, you know, you pay $1,000 for a set of tires or more than $1,000, you can't afford $25 for the disposal fee, ridiculous. But that they just throw them, I mean, you already see them beside the road, but.
I know, I pick them up all the time when I see them, bring them to the town garage, because they throw them off on Mom's Road.
Yeah. But, so anyway, before I start putting these out, I mean, I know when Mary picks up North Road, John brings them up. But just, you know, as a recommendation, should be something, you know, greatly appreciated.
Well, I'm sure some are going and some are just gonna leave them by the roadside, unfortunately. Be less truckloads you'd have to make.
Yeah.
How many truckloads do you tend to get? Where do you take them though, when you get picking them up?
The garbage.
Right into the dumpsters or?
They gotta take them.
We do the dumpster we can, but
Yeah. Then
way much, you gotta take down our gate.
you gotta take it to Highgate.
And how many tires was it last year?
10 more, you know, I have the 10 truck full.
But, so,
Well, gentlemen, any recommendations? We're moving along. I'm tired. I wanna go home.
Throw it in my truck is not a big deal, but if you got somebody, a lady with a nice car, she's not gonna wanna throw it in the back of her car.
no, that's understandable, but,
Yeah,
you know,
I'd say, you know, really encourage it to bring it over there, but if you don't.
I would say encourage them to bring it, but you realize you're gonna have to pick some up.
Yeah.
I think it's,
Yeah.
I just didn't want to start asking them to do it,
yeah,
and then,
We're gonna be going around anyways.
right. But the less you have to go around, the
Oh,
better
yeah.
it be. Because there are some who just throw them in and pick them, bring them over. No
Yeah.
big deal.
You gotta come back and
Yeah.
put it in the bucket and throw it in the truck and go get another one.
Yeah.
no, actually, next week is when they're gonna want bags too, because of school break, but, which is a couple weeks beforehand, you know. But I wanted to go over this before I started giving them out, but that's what I wanted more for the discussion.
So the state gives you the bags. is that
Oh,
the-
yeah,
And I'm gonna grab some. Patrick and JD need them for their so many hours or something. Said, good, we'll clean the Ryan Road right from the end of Chester Arthur right to 36. Done it 2-3
Wow.
times.
Good for you.
Yeah, we've done it 2-3 times.
I do the Fairfield part of Sweet Hollow. But I don't leave the bag for you to pick up. I put it in my own trash can.
Yeah. I do the thing with the beach garbage. I throw them back in my car.
Before you go, Mo, I wanted to just let you know that I have a Parity Bridge project milestone list of dates. I know that's come up a couple times, and I just wanted to, if you want a copy of it, you can take it with you. Just tells
Okay.
you that it's gonna
Linda,
happen
what do you
in
got?
2020.
tree warden's still the whole select board.
As we speak, unless we change it, it's worked so far.
Well, I mean, it's time to, input that again, I got the email as to who the tree wardens are, so.
Dave's not here, we could make him tree warden. You guys. So far, it's been the board. We've never had a real hassle.
Thanks, Dr. Mo.
See you, Mo.
You
Thank you, Mo.
See ya.
Sure, I'd love to be a tree warden.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's select board.
Select board,
Okay.
has been in the past.
Yeah, well, I figured. The other thing is, all the liquor licenses are online now, they don't come printed for you to sign off on them. I did mention that last year. I've always signed off, or the clerk, you
Yeah.
know, Amanda had it before. Anything that's temporary, the only ones I have questions about I bring for you, but Stones has already put theirs in, already and paid, so that one's in the works. Cause the only two that we have that are ones that used to sign off on are Stones and Fairfield Market.
Yeah.
So with the new system,
What about,
I'm assuming she hasn't put hers in yet.
Over in the swamp.
Yeah, yeah,
Excuse
but
me.
just letting you know, that's changed, it's online, so comes up, you sign off on them.
Sounds good.
So, anyway,
Thank you.
that's all I got.
Well, thank you. Good enough. I'll get this list narrowed down.
Thank you, Linda.
Go in pieces, spread the word of the Lord and all that, Lynn.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Someone make a motion to
I'd
approve the
like to
minutes?
move to approve the minutes from 24 March.
Second.
Second that. Is there anything you want to discuss or change before we accept?
Nope.
If you don't, make a motion to accept the minutes as printed. We get the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any, okay, good to go, that one's done. Kathy, you got more stuff?
I do.
Okay.
I'm sorry. So we completed the quarter end processes, and all of the most recent CDs have been moved to Intrify. We've created, myself and Amanda, we've done the first round of reconciliations of the interest for those. So it's coming along. We're at a point now where I can see everything, we can see everything, we know what's happening online, we can tell what's happening by paper. It got a little confusing, but now it's coming back around. So I'd like to, because most of the CDs are gonna renew at the beginning of the month on the 3rd, I'd like to talk about CDs on the second meeting of the select board during the months, so that we can make decisions at that time.
Sounds good.
Okay, also, we received the equalization and reappraisal monies from the state of Vermont, and I've transferred that to the list, to the reappraisal the list of reappraisal CD, which is now at, once that hits, which is the beginning of next month, it'll be at $81,000.
Have you ever gotten any of that tax money back from fuel? Is
I
any-
put that in, I haven't
Okay.
heard back from you yet. I
That's a
did all of
federal, that's a federal thing, right?
yeah, all of the roads, all of the years that we hadn't been applying, I put that in and I haven't heard back yet. But I will absolutely let you know as soon as I hear anything. The first quarter budget revenue was up by $16,000. I have, I know sometimes you like to see things at the end of the quarter, so here's the budget status report. We're on track, we're up with revenue, we're down in expenses.
What brought up the revenue, 16?
It was mostly because of delinquent taxes.
People paying?
Yeah, so, when you look at the, delinquent taxes, it's $15,000 higher. If you look at that first page, 10,50010, that's $15,000 higher than last year. And then the interest and the penalties are $3,000 higher, so it's a significantly higher amount at that point. And what has brought our expenses down, is higher, it looks like higher construction costs at the beginning of last year. Remember, we had all that flooding and,
Mm-hmm.
so it was just higher. Last year, we were about $10,000 higher in expenses, and most of that was because of roads this year. And that's really, I mean, I could go through this line by line, but really those are
Yeah,
that's where we are at this point. We're on track.
no,
We're
that's
looking
good. It's good to hear that.
I attended the floodplain maps update with FEMA, so this is gonna affect, I think it's gonna affect a lot of things. So what I haven't been able to do now is I have to request permissions in order to actually look at the Fairfield maps. What they've done is they improved their methodology for the measurements that they've been working with. And what they want is local feedback on the changes. They're not looking at properties, they're not looking at any structures on the spaces that they wanna, there's more floodplain is basically what's happened than there was before. And so they want us to look at those maps, and if we have any feedback for them, to tell them in advance. And I was wondering if anybody on the select board wants to look at those maps with me, once I can access them.
Is that something you print out, or is that something you gotta
It
do on?
is the entire, it's the entire town, and it's all color coded, and it's online, and I can actually invite NRPC to come over to look at it.
I just wonder if this is my opinion, it'd be easier if we had the maps to look at for myself and then see how much they're trying to expand the floodplain.
Yeah, I can talk to NRPC
So
to see if they
they're expanding the floodplain?
Well, so all of the floodplains they started recalibrating the floodplains in this, they're gonna be doing the whole state, but they did Orleans and Franklin counties, and then all of the Lake Champlain Basin, around the Lake Champlain Basin. And what it looks like is they've used actual amounts of floodplain, and they've fixed their calibrations so that it's up to the current technology standards. And I haven't seen the maps yet, but when I looked at what they were teaching us, it looked like there's more flooding areas than what was there before.
I mean, that'd be worth your time, I think, to everybody look at them and see what they're trying to.
What's the advantage of expanding the floodplain for us?
It's accuracy. Accuracy for
What
their,
about the landowner though? If he's got a piece of land and all of a sudden it's in a floodplain,
right,
There's nothing they can do to contest it. I remember when they first started talking about these floodplain changes, which was, I don't know, 10 years ago.
Yeah,
When they started working on it, it was a long time ago. And I remember I went to the very first meeting, which was the informational meeting. This is how it's gonna go. And that was my question. Like, all of a sudden, you're gonna say my land's in a floodplain and I can't get insurance anymore?
so this is why
They said,
we have to
"Oh,
get
well,
the
too bad."
feedback. But they
There's
don't,
nothing you can do.
no, what we can do is we can look at what they're proposing for floodplains based on our understanding of our town, and give feedback as to why one area or another may not be the appropriate place to have a floodplain.
But
they
as a
actually,
landowner, there's nothing you can do.
but will they actually listen?
no, I know,
I mean,
we
I don't
don't
know
wanna,
what they're
wanna
using.
create a
I
problem for them.
have no idea.
Right, that's what I'm thinking.
But we do have only a short amount of time, I believe, early May is what they're looking at for final feedback. It's really fast.
I'd like you to copy the link. I'd like to look at the link.
So at the moment, it's not public, it's all, and what I'm having a hard time with is, I've already talked to IT, it's not on our end, it's on their end, but I need permissions that haven't been granted to my technology in order to access their technology. So I'm working on it. I'm working with NRPC and trying to get, in touch with our people.
It sounds a little like, okay, so it's not public, it's gonna be a short time for
I know.
feedback. This seems like
Not nice.
something we're working on for 10 years.
I swear, it is 10 years.
Totally agree.
Yeah, and
highly complicated.
Limerick gotta be copied, because if your land is now in a
Well,
floodplain,
Right.
your taxpayer is gonna say, oh, excuse me?
Yeah, no, I hear you. It was a little.
When you get squared away, I mean, if other board members, I think it's something we should,
I think
Shout
the
from the
board members
rooftops
should be
to
aware of what he's gonna do.
And even if we could.
anyone who's affected should know about it.
Right. Yeah. Well, that will happen for sure. But in terms of our timeline to look at it and decide what we wanna say as a select board.
Oh, I see.
That's the window we're looking at right now.
That's why I think you have to look at it, just have a meeting for that.
Yeah,
I think it's worth the
I agree.
time and
Yeah,
investment.
if you can do it on a link, you should be able to go, bring,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I know. It's really nice to be able to follow the river and look at their layers of colors on a screen, because then you can see the different distinctions that, like, from
Well,
different
maybe we
before
can
to
have
after.
a meeting, you can
Yeah,
do it at a public meeting, we'll say, hey, this is, you know, here's what it is now, and here's what they're proposing.
Yeah, we'd like you to know as much about it as we know.
Sure.
Okay. Sounds good.
When they built that state police barracks, anybody remember?
And say the new one?
Uh-huh. Cause it was it was the first time I'd ever been in there. It was that FEMA floodplains first meeting that they invited us to,
12
and
years
that
ago?
thing was pretty
It was like,
near new.
Yeah.
I think that the paperwork said they started in 2018 or 2017. So it's been quite a long time. Let's see. So we have not, so I will get that to you. I will make sure to communicate about that. We still need to appoint a Northwest Vermont Solid Waste Management District Supervisor appointed to that board, which meets the first Wednesday of the months of February, April, June, August, October, November, and December at 6:30. And those meetings, if we don't have somebody in that position and it's vacant, that means that they have a harder time finding quorum, and that also means that they are unable to administer the work of the district. I've put this on Front Porch Forum twice. It's on the website. It's been on Facebook, and I've called a couple people to just ask around. I have no idea what you all want to do at this point with this position. We have to have we're supposed to really have somebody in that seat.
When is it? Wednesdays?
It's Wednesdays, yeah. Wednesdays of February, April, June, August, October, November, and December. Starting at 6:30. And you help shape, they say that you help shape the shared goal of reducing waste, recycling, and reusing. And you help them administer the daily operations.
I think you should advertise again, and we'll talk next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. Talk it up.
Yeah, talk it up.
Talk it up. Okay.
What else you got? Want to get out of here?
Purchasing policy and properties, RFPs. So.
Do we make a motion? As I recall, the purchasing policy was, we
Up
discussed.
in rates, right?
Yeah, it's all updated, everything is as it was last year, last month. And I need signatures, so that we can,
Do you want a motion?
and a motion to approve.
I make a motion, we approve the purchasing policy, the revised purchasing policy as discussed at the last two meetings.
I'll second that.
You say now?
And
Are you all in favor? Yep.
Aye.
So now we gotta sign them?
I had a conversation that I think is executive session on, I just wanted to raise a question on one particular parcel, and I think it's an executive session thing. So we could do it at the end, or,
Well,
That's
I
the only
wouldn't go through too much. I would bring this up and talk it that way, but with the other two guys aren't here, I wouldn't waste too much time on this property parcel stuff tonight. Unless we had a deadline we're supposed to set.
well,
which
I
I'm
think we
not-
do have a deadline, but that was gonna be part of my question that I was gonna raise, and I could do it in.
it probably won't take that, I think I know exactly what you're talking about, because there was a person who came in as well.
Yeah,
So let's get anything else done.
I approve that, I make a motion, we approve the warrants.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Good.
Anything on the
And
traffic?
traffic ordinance, what was that we want to change?
We added a yield at the intersection of Lackland Road and Boot Hill / Mill Street. Because there were several almosts.
Oh, people weren't
They were just flying off Lapland Road,
Oh,
and
okay.
Matthew
Yeah,
came close to being done a
because,
couple of times.
so what, they want a yield sign up there, that's what.
There is a yield sign there, we
Yeah.
put it up. It just has to be in the ordinance to be official. And Mo just told me that he put the sign up and then on Saturday he had to go put it back up because somebody took it out. It's a bit, he's got a yield, and because, you know, you come from the barn, there's that big dip in front of Roberts. And
Yes,
then you go up, so, and then you come down a little, and there's the intersection. So the yield sign's at the intersection. I asked Mo to also put a yield ahead sign on the other side of the hill.
yeah,
And both of them have been knocked down on Saturday night.
just somebody goofing
Just
around.
being jerks. So, you need to sign up.
Okay,
And
See,
make a motion to approve it.
And make a motion to approve.
someone make a motion to approve these,
The only change that's on there, because we just did this recent, but the only change that's on there is a yield sign has been added to that Lapland intersection, Mills and Hill.
so yield sign or yield ahead?
Yield.
Yield.
Yield ahead is just a warning, but
Yeah.
that has, instead of being an uncontrolled intersection, it is now a yield intersection, so it's been assigned.
Someone
Yeah, whoops,
make the motion,
Sure, I'll make that motion.
okay,
thanks.
Ron, will you second it?
I'll second.
We're all in favor, so off it goes. So that one's out of the way.
Yeah, and as far as deadlines for the properties, you're proceeding as we discussed.
I am, I wanted to, I held off on this, RFP, so I just wanted to ask.
Okay, but the other RFPs, or?
Would they ready to go? I brought copies of them for you to look
Okay.
at if you wanted.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we go to executive session for a short, it should be a short discussion. I don't know about action, but to discuss a real estate matter.
Okay, second it, Ron?
A second.
Second it? You'll second that?
Second.
Got it.
Yeah, I make a motion, we adjourn.
I like that idea better.
Easy.
I'll do. I second that one.
Yeah, I'll third it. So we're done.
Okay.
All done.